Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Teams in 20 series. If you've joined us before, welcome back. And if you're new here, this session is 20 minutes long and all the recordings will be shared on our YouTube site later. Today's session is all about accessibility. We're really excited to show you some of these features that you may not be aware of. So we are going to be looking at Office 365, Teams and Windows today, and our fantastic speaker who, if you've been and joined us before, you'll be aware of. So Zain Douani, our wonderful customer success manager, who I'm going to hand straight over to. So over to you, Zain.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Teams in 20 if you've been here before, and welcome if you haven't. So as Joe mentioned, today I'm going to be going over some accessibility top tips. And as I'll show you in a bit, there's a lot of accessibility features in Microsoft technology. So I'm not going to be able to go over them all in 20 minutes, but I will show you all the different options that you can use. And then I'll also show you some resources on where to learn more about them. So before we get started on the accessibility features, I just wanted to go over what do we mean by accessibility. So accessibility can mean different things to different people. Quite often it's thought of as a set of legal requirements. So for example, designing inclusive buildings to ease mobility for people with disabilities. But what accessibility really is about is enabling people to achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve without the environment being a blocker. So it should really go beyond law conformance. It's about people with disabilities being able to fully participate and contribute to society, and ultimately it's creating better experiences for everyone. Now I'm just going to go over a few statistics about accessibility. So to show you why accessibility is important for people of all abilities. So the World Health Organization has a statistic that says that over 1 billion people on our planet have a disability. And if you think about it compared to the total population, that's over 15% of our global population. So some of these disabilities can be permanent, while others can be temporary. So for example, if you break your arm and you're in a cast for a few weeks, that is counted as a temporary disability. There's also disabilities that you gain as you age. So for example, as some people age, they maybe lose their vision or lose their hearing. So there's a lot of different examples of disabilities. Another statistic that the World Health Organization has is that 70% of disabilities are invisible. So whether that's a neurodiverse disability and so on. So not many people talk about their disabilities, nor do they have to. So we want to make sure that the workplace, that our workplaces are inclusive for everyone. So that is where Microsoft can come in and help. So here's a table of all the different accessibility features available at Microsoft, and they're categorized by disability. So to make sure that no one is left out, Microsoft designs their products and technologies with accessibility in mind. So as you can see, there's lots of different features on here, and I won't be able to go over them all, but if you click on the link at the bottom right of the screen, and we're going to share this deck later on, you can go through and learn about the different disabilities. Now, let's jump straight into a live demo. So I'm going to close the presentation and get started with Office 365. Now I'm going to show you a demonstration on this amazing poster I made up quickly, but these features can also be used in different Office 365 apps, such as PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, and so on. So the first feature I wanted to go over was the accessibility checker. So if you go on the review ribbon up here, click on review, and click on accessibility checker over here, you can click on that and it'll flag up any issues with about accessibility on your document. So as you can see here, I have 2 errors. So if I click on the first one, I can see that the image of this dog over here is missing a description. Now, it's not a description at the bottom of the photo, for example, it's missing alternative text. Now, what we mean by alternative text is that some people, they are unable to see a document. Maybe they have low vision, or maybe they just prefer to have the document read out to them, so they use a screen reader. So if someone was to use a screen reader on this document, they wouldn't be able to know what this image is because it does not have a description. So to add a description, all you do is right-click on the image and click on View Alt Text. And here you have the option to add alternative text to describe what the photo is. Now, what we usually do is we try to make it as detailed as possible. So instead of just saying it is an image of a dog, I would say it's an image of a dog with headphones on, for example, and it's smiling at the camera. So you want to make sure that your description is very detailed so that people who are unable to see the image are able to know what it is and feel included in the actual experience of this amazing poster. So once I've done that, I just click out of it and I can close it, and that's done. And as you can see, that warning has gone. So the other warning that has come up, if I click on that, is that the color of this, the title is not good. It's, some people need high contrast to be able to read certain things. So as you can see here, this yellowish color isn't really great on a white background, and it's difficult to read. So I can just click on here. I can either change the page color and go through and pick that, or I can go through and change the font color. So let's say I'm going to change that to a dark red color. Change the page. So I can change the page to a different colored background. For example, I'd make a black background. That way, the contrast is better for and easier for people to read. So the accessibility checker does flag up quite a bit. So make sure to accessibility check all your documents before sending them out. And another feature as well is that you can translate your document without even having to leave it. So as you can see here, we have a sentence in French. So I can just highlight that, click on translate right next to accessibility checker up here, and I can translate the selection. So it'll just instantly translate the document, the sentence for me right in Word, or if you're using PowerPoint or Excel, it'll do the same thing over there. Or I can even just translate the entire document. If I click on translate the entire document, it'll open a separate document. So once I click translate, it'll open a separate document with, will have everything already translated for me. So I wouldn't be editing the original document. I just have a different document that is translated for me. If I were to just go back to the original, another thing that you can do on here is if you go to view, you can change how you view the document. So if you click on focus, you'll have this more focused mode. So you can have, if the ribbon is gone, and you can change the background. So click on the three dots up here. You can bring the ribbon back and you can change the background. And you find that easier to read, having that different contrast. And then if you click on focus again, you'll close focus mode. But what you can do is you can go on to immersive reader as well. So if I click on immersive reader, I'll have lots of different options of things that I can do. So I can change column width if I'd like to, if I can make it narrower or wider. I can also change the page color to help me with my reading if I'd want that more contrast as well. And also if I struggle with focus, maybe I'd like to focus on one line at a time. So I can go through, and this will allow me to read one line at a time without being distracted by the rest of the page. Go through and switch that off. I can change spacing. I can I can have the words split up into syllables if that make it easier for me to read. And I can also have the document read out loud to me. So if I click on that,
Petition to get an office dog.
It'll start reading.
Raison d'avoir un chien.
It'll start reading the document out to me. So maybe if I have low vision, or maybe I just prefer to have something read to me. If I have a really long article, for example, I don't want to read, I can go through and do that. And it is worth noting that you can have the read out loud feature in Edge as well. So it's in the top ribbon, so you can go through and do that as well. Now, some of these features might not be very useful to you specifically, but I would recommend telling your colleagues all about them because they might find them very useful and might want to use them in their day-to-day. So that is it on Office features. I'm going to move on to Teams now. So if I go on my Teams, so here I'm on a Teams channel. Now, one of the things I can do on here, just like I did on Word, I could also go through and use Immersive Reader. So if I hover over a channel message, or I can do this in chat as well, I can click on the three dots and I can click on Immersive Reader, and it'll open that view for me as well. So I'll have the different options. I can have the read aloud. So I just click play over here. Or if I go up here, I can change the text. So I can make the size bigger or smaller. I could increase spacing if I'd like, or decrease spacing, change the font. I can change the background as well. I can go through, change grammar, and then this really cool feature that I like is this picture dictionary option. So say I don't know the definition of a word and I would want to see a visual representation of that. I can just go over and hover over it, click on the photo, and then I'll just have a visual definition of that word. So it's very easy for people who English maybe isn't their first language. And it is worth noting that if you do use Immersive Reader, that only you will see that view. It won't change the view for everyone else. So you wouldn't have to worry about people knowing if you use Immersive Reader if you don't want them to know. So if I go back, what I can also do in Teams, so here we have another sentence in French. I can instantly translate it without having to leave Teams. So I'll hover over the message, click on the 3 dots, and I can just click on translate, and it's instantly translated right here in Teams. And then to see the original message, I'll just click on the 3 dots again and the original message. Another thing I want to talk about in Teams is the settings. So if I go on the 3 dots up here next to my profile, click on settings. There's a lot I can do in settings to customize my Teams experience. So the default is this white background, but I can go through and make it a dark mode if I'd like. Now, personally, my Teams is in dark mode because I don't like the bright lights all the time. It does strain your eyes a little bit, so I prefer to have it in dark mode. But you can also have the high contrast mode as well if that's what you'd prefer. You can also change the intensity. You can have it comfy or compact depending on your preferences. And then if you go to notifications as well, what you can do is change how you receive notifications. Now, the default for Teams is that you get a banner at the bottom right of your page when you get notification, and you get that ping sound. But in settings and under notifications, I can go through and edit that however I'd like. So I can turn off sound, for example, if I don't want sound distracting me and making me lose focus. I can also go through and customize different notifications. So for example, for chat, I can go through and click on edit, and I can turn off the banner if I'd like. Some people find it very distracting to have a banner pop up every time they're pinged. So if I were to click on, for example, messages, click on banner, I can switch that off. I can also, for @mentions as well, have it only show up in my feed and not pop up as a banner. So I'd strongly recommend going through settings on Teams and personalizing them however you'd like. You can do it whether it's a thing for help your focus, or whether you have some form of disability and you'd like to cater to that. It's all, you can do that all here. And last but not least, on the settings page, you click on the accessibility tab over here. So there's 3 options that you'll have on here. One of them is to prioritize signers. So if you have a signer on your meeting, if you turn this on, they'll be prioritized on your screen, so they'll be a bit bigger, so you'll be able to see them. So if you rely on sign language during meetings, it's a great option to do that. You can also turn on captions if they're automatically switched on when you create a meeting. And then you can also turn off animations. So you need to restart Teams for this, but you can go through and, as I said, edit your Teams settings to your preferences. The last thing I wanted to show you on Teams was the accessibility bots. Now, not everyone might have this switched on depending on your tenant, but it is an app in Teams. So if I click on the 3 dots over here, I've recently searched for this, so it's all right here. But if you go through and search for the accessibility bot and click on it, so basically what this is it's a chat with a bot regarding all things accessibility. So I can go through and ask it any question. So for example, I could ask it, what is Immersive Reader? And then it'll go through and give me an answer and a step-by-step guide on how to use Immersive Reader. And as you can see, if I scroll up as well, you can ask it more general questions like accessibility features for visual impairments, and then it'll give you options of what specific area you'd like help with. And then you can go through, click on the option, and it'll give you details on that. So I strongly recommend, if you do have accessibility bot turned on, to use it. And also you can look into getting it into your tenant, reach out to your customer success manager if that's something that you're interested in. And last but not least, I'll go over the Windows features. If I open settings, I use Windows 11, so it might look a bit different if you use Windows 10. But if on Windows 11, on the left-hand side over here, you have the accessibility tab. So sorry to click on that. Now, if you are on Windows 10, the accessibility tab will be called ease of access. So the features are pretty much all the same on there. It's just labeled differently, so it's ease of access instead of accessibility. And then on here, you can go through and change different things. So for example, as you can see, my cursor is quite large and it's a green color. So because in my role, I do quite a bit of demos. So I want to make sure that people who are watching my demos are able to very easily find my cursor and know where I'm pointing at. So to do this, you do it through the settings over here. So if I click on mouse pointer and touch, open that up, I have different options of different mouse pointers. I can change the color as well. I can make it bigger or smaller, and I can go through and make it personalized to my preferences. And then if I go back to the accessibility tab, there's other different things that I can do. I can change my contrast theme on Windows, for example, or there's other ones that are other features that are catered to hearing disabilities or interaction. So I strongly recommend going through and kind of catering your windows to your needs as well. And also, as I mentioned before, letting your colleagues know about all these features because they might not be too familiar with them and might find them very useful in their day-to-day life. That is it for the features. I know we have a couple of minutes left. If anyone had any questions they'd like to ask.
Hi, Zane. Just a couple of questions. People asking if they haven't got it switched on. So my understanding for accessibility bot is it is available. It's just whether your IT department have decided to enable that for you. So if you've got any questions about that and you've got a CSM, do reach out to your CSM. They can help speak to your IT and see if that's something that could be enabled for your tenant. Anybody who's missed the sessions before, we have the YouTube channel. Please do go and have a look on that YouTube channel. This is session 3, so we're not too far in. We've got a few more to go. And yeah, if you're in a community as well, we're posting those slides on the community pages. So hopefully you should be able to access everything that we've done so far. Fabio's got a question. Did you guys already go through the journey of someone with a disability in any training session webinar? For example, a blind person? Yes, actually, I've done a couple of sessions for blind veterans. We have a military employee resource group in Microsoft, and we did a whole hackathon for blind veterans. So various limitations with sight. And one thing that really worked for us was reaching out to the disability answer desk. I think on your previous slide there, Zane, was there a link to that? This is a service that anybody can use. If they've got somebody at home that wants to reach out, their disability answer desk is there. I think they do 24/7 support, and they can help you set up your Teams version for so that you're attaching the right devices or getting the right type of support that you may need for your situation. So they can definitely help there. It's a free service. Let's have a quick look down the rest of the questions because I know we're at time. I'm going to pop these links that Zane is showing into this chat as well. But I think that is everything. So thank you, Zane, for a fantastic session. Thanks to everybody that's joined today. Please do fill in the survey form. It really does help us look at where we can improve, what's going well, and what you would like to see in the future. Next week, we are going to be talking about shifts. So that's Microsoft Shifts. If you haven't seen that and you think that might be useful, do join in. But have a wonderful rest of the day, and thanks for joining.